a nationwide revolution, a total internet blackout, and the hopes of millions pinned on a former U.S. president. So what's going on here? A recent Beck broadcast painted this really dramatic picture of what it claims is happening in Iran right now. We're going to break down the key arguments from that broadcast and just unpack the narrative that they presented.
And it all boils down to this one huge question. Is Trump going to step in? According to the show, the whole situation is on a knife's edge, and the answer could quite literally determine the fate of millions of people.
Okay, so to really get a handle on the story they're telling, we're going to look at it in 3 parts. First, what they say is happening on the ground in Iran. Then, we'll get into the whole tech side of this fight. And finally, we'll look at why, according to them, all eyes are on Donald Trump.
All right, first up, to really get the stakes here, you have to hear how they described the movement itself. The show's guest, a human rights activist named Goldie Ghamari, she did not hold back at all. She called it, get this, Iran's final battle. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. The final battle. We're not talking about just another protest here. The way they presented it, this is it. It's an all-or-nothing moment for the people of Iran. So, according to the guest, what you're seeing is this massive countrywide revolution. We're talking millions of people marching peacefully. And they have a very specific goal. They want Crown Prince Pahlavi back. The key takeaway here from her point of view is that this is the end game for the current regime. Okay, so if the people are in their final battle, you've got to ask, how's the regime fighting back? Well, according to the broadcast, they're going full-on scorched earth, desperate and violent. Yeah, this quote really says it all, right? It gets to the why behind the regime's actions, at least as presented on the show. The idea is they know the writing's on the wall, so they're just going to cause as much destruction as possible on their way down. And the first move in this scorched earth playbook? A total internet shutdown. The guest pointed out that this is a terrifyingly familiar pattern. Historically, she says, this is what happens right before a massacre, because it stops anyone from getting video or information out to the rest of the world. And just to show how incredibly serious this is, the guest made a really shocking claim. She said that according to the Crown Prince's sources, the number of people killed in the crackdown is now higher than the number of people who died on 9/11. I mean, wow, that's a truly horrific number if it's accurate. But, this fight isn't just happening on the streets. The broadcast went into this really fascinating, super modern side of it, an information war that's being fought in the skies over Iran. It's basically this high-tech cat-and-mouse game. So on one side, you have Elon Musk, who the guest literally called a hero of the Iranian Revolution. He apparently helped get hundreds of thousands of Starlink devices smuggled into the country. And that worked for a bit. It let people get footage out. But then the regime fought back. They allegedly went and bought these military-grade jammers from China to block the Starlink signals. And just like that, the country was plunged back into darkness.
So the internet is down again. The situation on the ground is described as incredibly dire. And this is where the whole story pivots. The broadcast presented just one glimmer of hope for intervention. And apparently, all eyes were on one person, Donald Trump.
And the host, Beck, he brought up this old quote from Trump, "We're locked and loaded." Beck's point was that with Trump, you can't just brush that off as talk. He described him as a man of action, someone who actually does what he says. Then the guest jumped in and explained why, in her view, so many Iranians are pinning their hopes on him. She said they see him as a man of his word, someone who has the right intelligence to make the right call. The hope she talked about was really clear, that he would do something and do it sooner rather than later. And that hope got a huge boost from a really powerful message. The guest said this came straight from the Crown Prince. The message to the people of Iran was, we are not alone and international help is on the way. In the context of the show, this was seen as a direct signal that yes, someone has heard their pleas for help. Okay, so let's play this out. If this intervention actually happens, and if the revolution succeeds, what's next? What does that future look like? Well, the broadcast laid out a vision that has, frankly, massive geopolitical implications. The guest put the whole thing into this frame she called a poetic historical arc. It goes like this. She argued that way back in 1979, it was Jimmy Carter and the Democrats who helped turn Iran into an Islamic dictatorship. And now, the hope she presented is that the 47th president, Donald Trump, will be the one to finally set that right. And the stakes here, as they lead them out, are way bigger than just Iran. A free Iran, they argued,
would mean a whole bunch of things. A safer America, for one. It would mean restoring the old alliance between the US and Iran. And it would be a huge turning point against Islamic extremism, basically cutting off one of its biggest sources of money and power.
So, there you have it. That's the story that was laid out. You've got a people at their absolute breaking point, a regime that's supposedly going scorched earth, and the hope of this whole movement riding on what a former US president might do. And it leaves us with the big, unanswered question: what in the world happens next?